And now it's time to introduce the next presenter on today's megacast. That is Christian Smith, Vice President of Products at Igneous. Christian, are you with us?
I'm here, yes. Thank you.
Thanks for being on. Take it away.
Sure. Thanks, everybody. Let me get to the next slide here. So thank you, everybody, for your time today to talk about Igneous and unstructured data protection, unstructured data management at the actual tech media data protection solution. So I wanted to start out just with describing Igneous, and we're a bit different than everybody else on this call in that our foundation is really around managing and protecting unstructured data at scale. So think your file and your object data. Think of the stuff that's generated by machines, all of the stuff that is just growing with resolution increases and fidelity increases and new machines and new data collection types. And we see that there's a real challenge in this market as this continues to grow. You've got to take some ownership of that data. And so we started from a cloud-first model, which is control plane lives in the cloud, and all the services we deliver are all as a service. And so when we talk about Igneous, it is unstructured data management as a service. We have three services that we provide today. We provide Data Protect, which is around backup, archive, and recovery of unstructured data. We have Discover, which is visibility of your data no matter where it lives. And then we have Flow, which is about building pipelines and processing data through various stages. And for Igneous, we really talk about it in the way that data lives anywhere. So it could be on-prem, it could be in the cloud, it could be spread out across the enterprise in multiple sites, it could be on multiple devices. And we started from the concept that this was going to be a scale problem. So we architected for the petabytes to exabytes of data. We architected for the billions of files and storing metadata. We architected this in a way that it's highly decomposable to handle the various permutations of ways that you want to deploy in various places. And then we always thought that, you know what, data services need to be provided for everyone. This is not just an IT function that the IT administrator is dealing with. It is also a function of who are the end users, the researchers, the scientists, the engineers, you know, how are they going to interact with data through these class of services so that it's about, you know, getting more out of what you do. So this is the Data Protect webcast, and we've been on this before. We've given you a demo of Igneous Data Protect as a service. I'm going to cover this just from a high-level view, which is since then we've added more sources, we've added more targets. We API integrate with existing Tier 1 NAS infrastructure, so we make it really simple and easy to deploy, to consume, and our value is our IntelliMove capabilities. So as we're protecting these NAS systems, we're not hurting the performance of those systems. We're very latency aware as we're moving data. We have an adaptive scan technology, which means that whether file systems have, you know, millions of files or hundreds of million files in directories and are spread out and have weird structures, we can actually get through those file systems really quickly to go determine change on those systems. And then we built an index, and we built an index that didn't require a bunch of flash to run. And so this index has the capabilities to go understand your data, to go index billions of files and make sure that you are always have this kind of global view of what's going on. For us, you know, delivering as a service means our control plane has always been in the cloud, and you always have a single pane of glass. And we have the most integrations with the services that you would replicate that data to. So whether it's, you know, the AWS classes of S3IA and Glacier, Deep Glacier, whether it's Azure and Hot, Cold, and Archive, whether it's Google and Nearline, Coldline, and Regional, or their new, you know, Archive Coldline, we've always, you know, given you the flexibility of where do you want to put your data. And we are delivered as a service, and that means like software and infrastructure management, but I always call it like supervised data protection. Wouldn't you love to know that there's somebody that's looking at metrics and telemetry, and if something's happening in your environment, you don't have to babysit it. You don't have to check your dashboards every day. We're going to be looking over your shoulder to make sure that everything is working for you in your environment, and you can go focus on the value-added services that you need to provide. You can learn more, igneous.io. You have a whole website there where you can go explore that, or we can go into deeper architectural conversations later. So what I wanted to do was shift the conversation a little bit. Since this is a data protection webcast, I wanted to shift the conversation to build intelligent data policies. You know, before I protect my NAS data, before I think about how do I build these policies to protect my data, I should start with the place that I want to know what I have first. So where is it? How old is it? How much is it? You know, we've heard a lot of conversations about metadata these days and the importance of metadata in the enterprise, but this turns out to be a really hard task. And so there are a number of people that are trying to think about ways to go capture metadata to make intelligent decisions, and they always start with this fundamental architectural flaw, is they believe that databases can store billions of files. They try to use Elasticsearch to do a bunch of dashboard aggregation, and they use clients that are slow and heavy and consume a lot of resources to go scan data, which means you end up with a project. And I think that's the thing that we approach this saying, we don't want you to have a project. We want you to get started and get visibility as fast as possible. So I'm excited to talk about Igneous DataDiscover. It's really file analytics as a service, and our design tenets were to leverage our existing capabilities around the adaptive scan technology, the ability to go grab metadata off of all these different systems in a way that is, you know, latency aware. It doesn't impact performance. It store them in an index in a way that allows you to query that data and get the answers that you want. It is about easy, frictionless deployment models. It's about being able to go put a small VM in your environment and go scan everything that you have for your dashboards. And so I like to say that, like, data rules the world. Data helps you make good decisions. We look at it in the world of, look, we're going to arm you with the hows and the wheres. How much file data do I have? How much of it is active? How old is it? And the wheres, where is it? Where is the active data? Where is that old data? That's going to drive you to the question of, or the answer of, how much is this costing me, and what is my policy I want to build around that? You're going to be able to build, you know, capabilities in your environment to say, hot goes here, cold goes here, cloud goes here. And so it really arms you with that, you know, overall data protection strategy that reduces that second copy, third copy of data. So we wanted to start with a quick polling question. So do you want to take the polling question, Steve?
Yeah, so the question here.
Go ahead.
That's okay. The question on the screen for the audience out there is, how much file data do you think your organization manages? And I'm curious to see the answer to this. How big will this get up to? So just answer the question on the screen. I will share the results. Keep just a moment. And I want to get Christian's take on this. All right, looks like a lot of votes have come in. Let's get just a few more.
Sure.
All right, let me share the results now. And it looks like 43% are under 250 terabytes, 27% are 250 to 1 petabyte, and then all the way up to 7% are more than 10 petabytes, and 11% don't know exactly. What's your take?
Yeah, my take is that seems about right. I think a lot of the folks that deal with applications, you know, their unstructured data footprint is pretty small. But what's intriguing is if you took this poll a couple years ago, I think 90% of the people would be under 250 terabytes. And so as we've seen this progression of file-generated data and file driving, you know, various pipelines, you're seeing more and more people in the 1 to 10 range. And then the most curious thing is the I don't know, which is a very common question, which is, I don't even know how much I have. I don't know where it is. I don't know what to do with it. So that kind of aligns to what the industry looks like in terms of, you know, people and their data and the growth of this data over time. You know, the folks that thought they would never have a petabyte are probably sitting here going, I don't know what to do with the 5 petabytes I'm growing towards today. So interesting results. Great. That's perfect. So let me go one step further now and talk about the what is Igneous DataDiscover, just how simple, fast, and easy it is to get up and running. and then we'll flip over to a demo. So, we call it enterprise-wide visibility, and we like to deploy this as a service, which means it's a simple, small VM. It's 16 gigs of RAM, it's 4 to 8 cores. We'll have you up and running in a half an hour. We like to look at the world of scan everything. We've built this to be really fast, and we use our adaptive scan to go do that. So it's no more a question of what should I scan and what shouldn't I scan. Go scan everything, get your global view. And so we really want to make this frictionless for you to use and deploy. The second part is it's fast. So we have gone into places where it's 50 billion files and 25 petabytes of data. We've deployed on a Friday, and on Monday we're often looking at results in their environment. So it is really fast where we can scan billions of files per day. But at the same time, that latency awareness will kick in as systems are loaded and they're doing things. But just in a perfect world, that is a very high scan rate so that you always have actionable, timely information and data to work with. The last thing is the scalability of this. Again, I mentioned we started out with the view of cloud first, which is global view into everything. But it's really about that index that allows you to ask these questions about your data and be able to make informed decisions. Now, we build dashboards around kind of common questions so that you're not doing these real-time aggregations, so that you can go explore your data and find kind of those pockets where you want to go take action, but it is across your enterprise. Okay, so let me go into the demo here. Let me share my screen here. Hopefully everybody can see this.
I do. Yep, looks good.
So I'm not going to walk through deploying a VM. I think we all know how that these days. What I want to show you is this is the dashboard, an instance of Igneous that is both the data protection and the DataDiscover all in one kind of dashboard here. Everything we do is about simplicity. We want you to get in, to do something, and get out. So from a systems perspective, to launch Discover, it's really about importing systems. So I'm going to go in, and you can see I have a number of systems already imported. Some of them are NetApp and Isilon and Cumulo and FlashBlade, and some of them are just generic NAS. Getting started is about adding a system, and so I'll add this system, and then we're going to go out, we're going to discover that system. We'll discover all the shares and exports on that system, and on completion of importing that system, we're going to immediately start kicking off scans on that system. So you can see we had Hans here. I'm a Star Wars fan, so we're in the Star Wars genre here. And you can see we have a number of projects and a number of exports and directories on that. So then now, if you flip over to the Discover view, this allows you to answer that question of how much data do I have. So you can see here's the enterprise view, which is I have petabytes of data that falls into these buckets. So if I sum up all the capacity based on age, you get a quick aging view of all your data across all your systems. You can answer that question of how much data do I have and how many files do I have. In this case, it's 12 billion files. As I go below that, I start to see all my systems, and then I start to see that aging bucketing across these systems. I had just imported Hans. Let's go take a quick look here to see if it's already producing results. So you can see it's already scanned 435,000 files. So you're already starting to see results progressively come in. So that goes to how fast we can go through these systems. Bang for the buck, I can go highlight it and find the systems where the oldest data is the most prevalent, so both in terms of capacity and file count. But I can also go explore. So if I want to go explore, I can just dig in and start exploring given files and directories. And so, in this world of file, even though we say it's unstructured file data, there tends to be a lot of structure here. There tends to be structure in so much that there's projects, or there's machine runs, or there's experiments, or there's labs. And those projects kind of age over time, but nobody really knows how they're being used. And so you can see quickly, I have 50 terabytes of data that is inactive, and I can flip that around and say, here's the stuff that is still active. In places like life sciences, or chip design, or high-tech manufacturing, places, or security, places where a lot of file is generated, you could determine it in terms of like labs, like here's a bunch of labs, and these labs have scientists in them, and these scientists have, maybe have left, and so now you're carrying this payload of data forward with you as these scientists have left, and you don't know, should this be here or should this not be here, but you can start to quantify how much data that is and what maybe you want to go do with that, or conversely, you could see who's the most active, and maybe you're starting to promote them to other computational methods because you've got them on the wrong tier. From a security perspective, we talk about endpoints and collecting logs and metrics. Same concept here. So I think everybody kind of gets the point about that exploratory view. And just to show you how kind of fast this is to all depth levels, I'm going to go into one that I know is really deep. I'm going to go into a billion file, lot of directories, lots of small files, and just show you what that looks like. So I can keep drilling, all the way down in a really deep file system and continue to get the numbers, the size and the file count associated with each one of these directories as I drill down and explore for results. So it allows you to have really a data-driven view. So that's the demo. Let me stop there. I'm going to flip back over to our webcast because usually the next question is something like this. Okay, what can I do with this? So from our view, one, the great thing is you can start to have fact-based conversations with data owners. We've deployed this in a number of accounts and have had that great aha moment, which is, the IT person deploys this, they immediately go to the projects folders and they go, aha, I knew it. We had a bunch of old data here, and now I'm being asked to go buy a whole bunch more. And now I can go talk to that, project manager or that data owner and start having a conversation about how we can manage costs together. I like to call it the stop yelling fire part too, which is, we hit quotas, we hit capacity full, and there's a broadcast mechanism that goes out that says, fire, we're almost full, and everybody scrambles to do things. This gives you that chance to stop yelling fire and allow you to have that surgical discussion of what actions I can go take. The next thing is you can use the APIs that we have. So we have APIs that tie directly into the visualizations that you see that report on that data, which means that a lot of people are building their own self-service portals in ServiceNow or their own in-house provisioning portals to go take projects, provision projects, age projects out, provide costing. And what you can do with that is integrate with those to give that extra visibility to say, I can make an intelligent decision of what to do with that data. Maybe I want to move it when it hits a certain aging. And then, of course, I'd be remiss to talk about Igneous Data Protect, which is Igneous Data Protect has archive capabilities. And archive more and more is becoming that motion to moving data into things like Deep Glacier, into Azure Archive Blob Store, into Google's CodeLine Archive, and get it out of the data center. Get it into a place where it can sit. And Data Protect gives you the movement capabilities, it gives you the restore capabilities, and it also gives you the index, so you can go find that data down the road. And we have a lot of neat things that we do from an optimization standpoint to mitigate the costs associated with what you're doing, which means that to build your robust data protection policies, you now have a way to get great visibility into your data and keep less copies of your primary, your secondary, your offsites, etc. So with that, nothing talks more than seeing your own data. Nothing talks more than being able to get the visualization of what you have. So we are a SaaS offering. We make this available to you to go try out. And so we've created a special link for everybody on this call today. We call it the Actual Tech Media Data Protection link. So it's igneous.io/ATMDP. There's some requirements there. Fill out the form. We'll be in touch with you, and we'll get you going as fast as we can. So sign up now. Nothing is more powerful than using the data in your environment.